Hello there.
Hi guys.
How's everyone doing?
Amazing.
Fantastic.
I think this has been a bit of a slow start because everyone is still trying to wake up. Because usually blah, 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 and now it's a bit of a that's fine, whatever. So how's everyone doing? Skye, how have you been?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm very good. I'm really looking forward to the Christmas weekend. Not Christmas shopping. No. The weekend, watching the family open the gifts. That's what I'm looking forward to.
That'll be nice.
Yes.
What about you, Ethan?
Yeah, doing good here. Prepared for Christmas also. Got all my shopping out of the way, thankfully.
Lucky.
But everything's good over here.
That's great. Lucky, I only have to buy a present for one person, and that's my girlfriend.
Wow.
Nobody else. I'm lucky about that, and I feel proud of this. But yeah, so I feel sorry for you guys. You got to buy presents for the whole family.
Yeah.
A Greek family, imagine that.
Oh my God! Remember that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Yes.
So, Christmas is 4 days ahead of us, and prior to this holy day, which is being celebrated all around the globe, we would like to give some useful and very informative information to the people within the music industry and anybody who's listening to this podcast who would like to help in regards to mental health and also some technical information as well.
Yes.
So I'd say let's kick it all off with the mental health aspect of our podcast for today. Yeah. Skye, I would like you to take the lead and start it off.
Of course. Well, I mean, this is very, very different to the previous, in the way that we will be spending times with our families, but also not everybody will. And I know that's a very, dark way of starting, but it's very true. So I think it's going to be a difficult way to adapt for a lot of people. A lot of memories associated with the day as well and the weekend. So I just want to get everyone's opinion really on how to make the most of a day where everyone around you is celebrating, and you might be either spending time by yourself, maybe you are spending it with loved ones, but there's a few loved ones missing.
Yeah.
So I guess what would you guys advise on how to make the most of a difficult day and still prioritize yourself and your own mental health?
Yeah.
Shall I go first, Ethan?
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead. Take the lead.
Yeah. I mean, I am someone who has lost a few people who were dear to my heart, and we probably all have. But I've lost someone that was very, very close to me, whom I don't want to mention right now. But yeah, he was a very, very close person to me. I could say blood related. Let's just say that. That will be it. But I also lost very close friends. My best friend I've lost, I buried him almost 4 years ago. And he was a very, very close, my best friend. That's as close as it gets. Yeah. He was actually closer to me than my very own brother. I don't say that in a malicious way. I love my brother, but, a friend that was very close to me. And I can definitely tell you guys my side of the story. This guy was my host, my MC, and we used to do gigs together. We used to go out together. We used to eat, and we used to do a lot of things, if everything, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I remember going to Ayia Napa for DJ and MCing with this guy. I remember going into Kairinha to beach parties, Ayia Napa beach parties, club nights, club black and white, everything I've done with this guy.
Yeah.
So, and when this guy had passed away almost 4 years ago, I kind of felt lost. I'm not going to lie, at least for a certain time. And my first Christmas, obviously without him, was in 2018. And obviously that year was a bit of a broken for me because it sort of didn't feel the same. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
How I coped with it was purely by understanding the fact that that's the final destination that we're all going to go. Like, that's a fact. There is no denying it. We can't be we can't be living in denial. We have to make peace with it. We have to accept it that, whoever leaves this place called world or life is going to go to the same destination. Now, do we know what happens? Absolutely not. But it is an inevitable fact that we're all going to go to the same place. Now, as a musician, we tend to be more emotional people.
Yeah.
We tend to be these, emotional flowers. Don't know why. It's just because we try to express our emotions via music. So it tends to sort of come back to us and makes us sort of more tender, more loving, more caring, therefore more vulnerable at the same time. So a normal person can listen to a song and say, it's a good song. But a musician will listen and say two aspects. One, technical information. Second, emotional side of the story. So a song can make you feel really mellow, or can get you angry, or can give you the hype, or you want to do more, So there are different emotions in music. But obviously it depends on the music, the genre that you're listening to. But that's just what I'm exactly trying to say. And because as musicians and being in the music field and industry, we tend to get more emotions running through our system and our heads. We also tend to be able to give more in returns via whether it's via our music or through our speeches. You know what I mean? We tend to be, in my opinion at least, a touch more vulnerable than the usual people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. First off, I'm sorry to hear about your friend, Serhat. That must have been very hard.
Oh, yeah.
For me, myself, personally, I've been very, very fortunate. I haven't lost many people in my life, other than, of course, some family members, things like that. Thankfully, nothing to COVID, anything like that, But whenever a family member of mine did pass a good few years back, I remember I translated it the best I could into the music I was playing, and I play the drums. But what really helped me get through it was letting myself feel vulnerable and letting myself feel all the emotions I had to feel instead of hiding from it or maybe trying to pass it to the side. I let myself break down. I let myself be hurt by it. And then I found as the years went on, I grew from it a lot. Yeah, it helped me with the idea of death. It helped me with the idea of losing somebody, things like that. But in terms of this Christmas especially, everybody's going to process grief or perhaps being alone or strong emotions like that differently. So in terms of around Christmas time or this time of year, I guess for anybody specifically, the best thing to do would just feel it out, see how you feel, and maybe don't run from those feelings. If you're stuck in a studio flat somewhere, if you're a student or for whatever reason you can't see your family or your family isn't there for the worst case, I suppose my advice to anybody that would be going through that is just let yourself feel those feelings, no matter how scary or no matter how powerful they might be, because ultimately it's going to help you grow, and most likely if you're able to at the time or later on, you can probably translate that into your music so much better if you can allow yourself to feel those feelings, feel that grief, feel that pain, whatever it is you have to feel, and then translate it into your music,
Yeah. And I love what you said about playing drums is like kind of an outlet and a creative outlet as well, because for me drumming is my therapy and I absolutely love it, and especially at the yeah
I'm surprised with that too. Very good.
Yeah, I've been playing for quite a few years, but at the start of, I'd say, spring this year, I realised there was a lot of emotions built up from just over the years, and so I just hired out a local studio. I absolutely loved it because that you could change the lighting, so the mood is there as well, and you can just blast. I'll blast up my favourite songs and just go nuts in there.
Yeah.
And it's the best feeling, and I would come out of there feeling as if I just spent 5 hours in the gym. It was like this outlet that I knew that had come out, and it was not only a therapy, but also just a creative outlet as well. So I'm not only getting better mentally, but I'm also learning new things. I'm learning new techniques.
Absolutely.
That you wouldn't necessarily do if you just force yourself to sit down at the set and just start drumming to whatever.
Yeah.
So I definitely think finding a creative outlet, or just something that you've always wanted to do, and just take it to the next step in some way, that's an amazing way of just enhancing your skills without even realizing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Put yourself into everything that you're doing creatively, letting your emotions come through. It makes sense.
Yes, exactly.
Definitely. But as Ethan was saying earlier, it doesn't matter where you are, or whether if you're stuck in a studio apartment, or if you're actually with your family, or, you know, vice versa, or if you're with your girlfriend or your grandparents, or, you know, whatever it is. Just, in my opinion, you should always try to enjoy the moment, no matter what happens in the past. Whomever you lost, I know it's not easy to cope with the whole thing, because it's always hard in the first glance. But at the same time, there's one true fact other than the final destination, and that is being in the moment. And that's the only way you will be able to sort of enjoy what you have and not worry about what you had, because every second that goes past in life is gone.
Yeah.
There is no way of getting it back. So focusing on right now is what we have, and that's what we're going to do. That's what we have to do. And focusing on right now is the only thing that's going to enable us to be able to achieve all of our dreams and goals in the future.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, so as musicians, we can try and express our feelings, our grief, our love, our downers, upwards, via our musical instruments. Or if I suck at playing instruments. I can try to play the guitar, I can play a couple of chords and whatnot, or the keys, yes, couple, but that's it. But I'm a good engineer, I produce good music, and I'm all in with that, and I can say, listen, I'm good at what I do. But I can't play instruments. And what I do, I just go on my computer, I switch everything off, fire everything up, and I start making music. That's me. But if you can't play an instrument like you guys can play the drums or can play the keys, do it. And if you can, record it. And then if you can, shove it on the internet. You know what I mean? Do something with it, and then let people understand, or let people hear what you were currently going at that very moment of recording.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know what kind of doors that might open.
Yeah.
That's how.
Big time. That's something that we always encourage for our writers as well, because we always say to them, whatever they were feeling in that moment of writing that song, that track, we can hear what was happening, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. So if they were feeling very low, not motivated, then we can pinpoint that quite easily and say, this song isn't working because I can feel that your heart wasn't in it. Whereas, you know, if they were going through a very emotional time and they put everything into what they were recording, you can hear that as well. So I absolutely love that it can, something so emotional in the moment can be turned into something game changing. And so I would love to ask you, as you are a producer as well, and drumming is a very physical kind of thing that you do, and that's how I get my emotions out. But in terms of producing, what would you say is the most therapeutic aspect of it?
I would say the most therapeutic aspect of it is, as a producer, is that I obviously have certain tools, certain softwares that enable me to create minor chord progressions or major chord progressions.
Nice.
You know, if I'm feeling mellow, then I go for, you know what I mean, minor. And then if I'm feeling much more like, you know, much more energetic, I go for major. I go through, let's just say, just metaphorically, 1,000 different chord progressions. If I'm feeling a minor chord progression, then I go through it, and then I try to resonate with the ones that sort of I'm most close to at that very moment. So I find the one that resonates with me at the time, and I sort of use that, and I can then turn around and chop up the chord progressions and make my very own flow because it's a preset. And I don't like using presets. I do sound design at the same time, but first and foremost, my chord progressions, I use a preset, but then I chop it up, swap places, and then make it my own, and now it's my very own chord progression, which didn't exist in the first place.
Absolutely.
And, as I'm going along, if the mood of the song is fitting right with me, then I follow that and I start writing the bass and I start writing the drums, and then I could say easy within 2 hours I have a general outline of the song. It's sitting right there, and then all I have to do right now is to just focus on the details, and then start focusing on the details if I have the energy or the right mindset at the time. If not, I give a break and I come back to it later on. If it doesn't work that night, I give it a day break, and I come back to it the next day.
Yes, that's a big piece of advice there, especially the smaller fine-tuning details. If you're in the right mindset, you could end up scrapping the whole thing. You could scrap an amazing idea, and that would be a bad mistake. So, of course, at the moment, you don't feel like you're in the right mindset, especially when it comes to your creative outlet, being producing drama, whatever that may be. You need to take a step back big time, and you have to know straight away. You have to teach yourself as well when that moment is, because you could still end up crossing that line a bit too late and scrap something that's good.
I had a word with one of my students. As you guys know, I have students that I teach how to make music, electronic music. I can't teach instruments, but I teach how to make music on a computer, Mac, Windows, doesn't matter, same mentality. He rang me about a week ago, and he goes to me, Serhat, what? He goes, have you ever had this issue where you make a song sound so amazing at night, but then when you wake up to it in the morning, it sounds absolutely shit? I said, I laughed so hard. I said to him, it happens to every single musician around the world. That means you need to give a break. Because when you reach a certain level, when you're making music, especially at nights, try to make as less music as possible at nights, in my opinion, because what happens, the reason why I'm saying this is because my experience, throughout the whole day, from the moment you wake up until you get yourself into the studio until night time, 9, 10, 11, 12 p.m. at night, your ears get full. With all the noise, all the excess noise and sound that you get filled in your ears. Now, hear me out carefully. I may be wrong, but it's my personal experience. Your ears get filled in with all kinds of noise, and when you finally get yourself into the studio and start making music, regardless of what time it is, as long as it's nighttime, there is a certain decrease in the level of hearing when you're making music. Now, if something is going to sound like tap, it sounds like top, you know what I mean? And then that sounds good to you. And you're like, oh shit, it sounds good. Let me record it. So we recorded it. Only for you to wake up in the morning and go back in the studio for you to find out that tap was actually, you know what I mean? It's so you're not meant to be. If it sounds really, really good at night, most of the time, 9 out of 10 is going to sound shit in the morning. Because it's a global problem within the music industry, or between the majority of the musicians. It happens. There are memes about this shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a little story.
Because a lot of producers, they get into the state where they overdo it, don't they? They fill so much things into it, and at the time, like you said, at night time, because everything's running the way it is, it sounds fantastic at the time. But then once they get a break, they get some sleep, and they get a break from that process, they realize, like, what the hell have I done? This is a million different sounds all at once. It's overloaded too much. That is definitely a big issue in the music industry.
Definitely, bro. But and that's where musicians, I'm gonna now connect this to our topic, psychologically start affecting themselves and their very own inner peace, because they think, oh, I'm a shit musician, what did I do? Yeah. No, you are not a shit musician. You are a good producer, or maybe you are a great producer in the making, but please understand that these kind of small aspects and small differences make huge differences. So if you sort of make a small modification to your nighttime workflow, that will help you throughout your whole career, because you need to understand nighttime is good. Maybe you get creative. Maybe you get really creative at nighttime because there is no more sound outside, exterior, your physical environment. But at the same time, there is interior noise in your ears, which was filled in throughout the whole day, which you are not aware of.
Yeah.
Now, that's what's causing the pollution, the sound pollution in your ears. But what happens when you go to sleep and you give yourself that break, 7, 8 hours, or maybe 10, 12 hours, I don't know, God knows how long you want to sleep for. And when you wake up, your ears are all emptied out now, it's all clean, now you can hear everything more clear. That's why, give a break, come back to it later. Give a break, come back to it later.
I think it's very important, I mean, that you prioritize taking a rest for yourself, especially as creative people, because our minds are going non-stop. And I think if you are a creative person naturally at night, that's amazing. If it's, you know, during the day, that's great. But it's knowing when your limit is, and knowing when you need to take a step back. I find it hilarious managing artists and writers, because I mean sometimes they will send me very sleepy voice notes of a vocal melody, and you know, they have the idea in their head, it sounds amazing, and I can see where they're going with it, and then I'll text them in the morning saying, listen to that back.
You sound off key.
You know what, honestly, 10 times, like 10 out of 10, like it is out of tune, like the melody is just like off, but I can see where they were going with it, and all it takes is that small little, okay, I see what you meant, for that to be, you know, put into the next song, or you never know where it could be taken. So I think it's very important, like, yes, you know, when you are feeling inspired and creative, whether that's 3 a.m. through a voice note, or, you know, 3 p.m, put that idea down. If it doesn't work, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't mean that you're a shit musician. It just means it wasn't working in that moment.
Yeah.
But always, you know, you're welcome to come back to it if there is some potential there. And that's a key word with everything. If there's potential, there was some kind of inspiration behind the idea, then you never know where it can go. Then that means hold on to what you had there.
Absolutely.
Ethan, what would you say to that?
Overall, like, absolutely, you know, you can get caught up in things, like I said. If the key word would be potential, and it wouldn't be hard to spot, but if you were to make something, say at 3 a.m, you're tired, your body needs rest, your mind's overloaded, you could create something that sounds fantastic right there, or there might be little key components that are really filled with potential, but if you don't give your body enough rest, if you don't take a step back and look at it from a different perspective, like you were saying, you might just spin the whole project, because whenever you next look at it, you get overwhelmed with all these different things. You're not really listening. You're not finding the potential in it. And that could be because you're not well rested. I would say the most important thing for everybody, not just a musician, but it's to respect yourself. And as a musician, you have to respect yourself to respect your art. So, you know what I mean? Like, so if you're making something, don't be afraid to take a break from it. If you need to take, like you said, the rest of the day or a day or two, just make sure that you give yourself the rest that you really need, so that you can come back into it with a fresh perspective, perhaps put it in a different direction, or let yourself rest so that you can hear the fine-tuned little bits of potential, you know what I mean?
Is do what you gotta be doing. Do what you have to do, basically. You know, because when you come back the next day, you will understand what needs to be done. So you can just do that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
I have like quite an important question that I get asked a lot.
Please.
How do you know when an idea or a concept has potential, in your opinion?
That, to me, it's a very, very deep. It's a question which has got so much depth to it, in my opinion, because everyone's ideology behind something marvelous is different, especially when it comes to music. Some songs that you might think are freaking amazing can be trash to other people. Likewise, what you think might be trash can be freaking amazing to some other people.
Yeah.
So that really varies, in my opinion. What I can say is to be able to distinguish what sucks from what is marvelous is to be able to write it down, do whatever you can with it, produce it, record it, or get a rough idea out there, and go to the industry, not industry standards, no. Go to people that you actually think that can give you good, useful feedback, not your freaking parents. No. No, not your
No,
parents.
don't do that.
No, don't do that. Not your siblings, not your best friend, not your girlfriend or boyfriend, no.
Yeah.
I'm talking strong-headed people that within the music industry who know what they're talking about, people whom you trust, and people whose feedback you actually trust with your eyes and your ears blindfolded. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So you take your idea to these people and see what they got to say, whether if your idea or your demo is something that is worthy of keeping or something that's basically needs to be just trashed immediately. Even then, take my advice. Do not trash any idea. Create a folder, chuck them in there, keep them in there. You might want to go back later on when you are suffering from this thing called, in my opinion, it's a myth, but a thing called writer's block. It does not exist. But anyway, we'll get back to it later on. If you're suffering from not being able to produce or manufacture any kind of creative ideas, you can go back into that folder and check out what you suck at, in your opinion, and sort of maybe find something useful that you can sort of bring out, open it, and then start working on it. Maybe you can come up with something even better from what you thought that might have sucked at one point in your life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my answer.
Yeah. In terms of myself, I was sitting there wrapping my brain because it was a tricky question. Like, how do you recognize potential in music or art? And I was thinking about it, but Serhat, it was your point where you said giving your art or letting somebody hear it that has no connection or ties to you, somebody who has a strong head, not your parents, not your girlfriend, not your boyfriend, not somebody who's going to be wary of your feelings. If you were to give it off to somebody else to get their honest opinion on it, that's the best way to get feedback, isn't it, on something you've created? I mean, the initial purpose of music was to make people dance, but not all genres make you want to dance. But it's how the art is perceived by everybody else is what gives it its value. So definitely finding somebody, an external source, somebody that's not related to you, somebody that doesn't have an emotional connection with you, and give it off to them and accept their feedback, whether it be positive or negative. Take it for what it is, whatever they want to tell you about it, because it's these people that you're trying to get your music to. You're not trying to sell your music to your girlfriend or your parents. You're trying to sell your music. So you need to hear from the people that are going to buy your music.
Buy mine for free, please.
The thing is, this is the point though, because whether they liked it or not, they would still buy it. But that's because they have a very humble opinion of you and they love you unconditionally, no matter if you're whistling or farting into your phone while recording this.
Which is lovely, but it doesn't sell your music.
Yeah, but I completely agree with both of your ideas on that, 100%, because you do need to put your music out there to people that you trust. And I always advise this to every writer is to just reach out to music professionals on social media, because you'll be surprised at how often people actually listen and will give you a bit of feedback. It might be just one word or one sentence, but that's still feedback. And if they didn't like it, they'll either not respond or just send you, a question mark of what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I also think with that, it's also going by how that idea or that demo feels to you personally. And if you play it to someone that is in the professional industry and they say it's not working right now, first of all, that sentence is not working right now is a great thing, because even if it feels really, really good to you and there's something about it where you can't put your finger on it, but it feels right, it means leave it for now and come back to something in that song later on. And that could be, this is what I love about songwriting, is that you can really pinpoint so many different aspects of what makes a good song. So you can come back to a demo and think, right, I'm going to take that first line in the verse, or this one lyric, or this beat, and I'm going to use it in a separate track. And that could be the small thing that made you think there's something about this demo that I really like. And that's the feeling that you get. So it can be so many different aspects. But if there's something about it that you can't stop thinking about, then come back to it later on and really analyze that demo and understand what is it about this that you are feeling so good about, and see where it can take you in perhaps another idea, another concept. So just be very, very open-minded in that aspect, and everything will come together.
Absolutely.
100%, definitely. Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I would say we can definitely wrap up this topic for now.
Yeah.
And I would like to thank you both. Thanks to both of you for joining this call and making this podcast with me. So we appreciate you both.
Thank you.
And until next week, see you later. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you guys next week.
Stop this, and then we can now start the new conversation.